disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.
Welcome once again to another episode of Fists, Kicks, and Flicks, the podcast about martial arts, movies, and life. I am one of your hosts, Eugene Plowden, and with me, my podcast partners, Angel Diaz and Joe Hartley. What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on?
If this is your first time with us, I want you to know we are members of the Martial Arts Internet Network. On Tuesdays, we have CTE, Chris Los, and Travis Experience. Wednesdays is us, Fists, Kicks, and Flicks with Gene, Mike, Angel, and Joe. And Thursdays, you can get the Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. For more information, you can check us out on all of our social media platforms. Just look for the Martial Arts Internet Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Fellas, it's showtime. What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. How you doing?
Yeah, how's Angel doing?
I'm trying to hang in there.
That's good, man. How was y'all week?
Week or weekend?
All of it. I mean, I haven't talked to y'all in a week, so.
So you can go ahead and go first.
It's been busy, man. A lot of snow this weekend, so work and snow. I've been shoveling some snow, trying not to hurt my back. I had some post office stuff supposed to come in. They said they couldn't get to my driveway, so I'm a little mad about that. But other than that, it's been a good week.
All right, Angel, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I had a tough competition week, so
I got you.
I remember those days.
Yeah, that was good. Made it to stage. Came up short, but hey, we'll get them on the next one.
Yep, we enjoy a win for 24 hours. We deal with a loss for 24 hours. So shake it off and keep moving, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, man, my week was pretty good too, man. My son's birthday was Thursday. He's 8 years old now. And I just been pretty much just chilling and relaxing, man, ever since then. Last night I had an interesting situation. I almost wasn't sure if I was going to be on the podcast tonight.
Uh-oh.
Around 10:30, I was watching our movie that we're going to review tonight, Karate Kid 2, and my power went out. Now, Angel, like last night, we were in the middle of a major snowstorm. I think we got the largest amount of snow that we've gotten in 3 years. Is that right, Joe? Is that what you heard?
Yeah, I heard the same thing.
Yeah. So it went out at 10:30. Power went out. TV went out. The lights went out. My furnace went out. Everything went out. I had zero. And you know what I did? I sat there in the dark for a minute, and I was thinking, like, this can't be life. And I just got up and I went to bed. I text Queen Crystal. I let her know. I said, "Hey, guess what? The power out." And she responded back, "What? Like, it's too cold for this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to bed." She was like, "You can't stay there. You can't stay there." I was like, "Well, you know what? The heat's been on since about 4:30 in the afternoon, so the house is not cold right now. It's okay. Once I get up under the covers, give me a couple extra blankets and comforters, put it on me, I'll be all right. We'll see." I sent, our power supplier here is called DTE. So I sent a text message on the app to DTE and let them know, like, power out. It just wasn't my house. It was the whole block. The whole block was out. And when I looked out the window and saw that, like, the street lights weren't on, and none of the neighbors had their lights on, the street light, their house lights, or their side door lights or anything. Nothing was on. It was just blacked out. And I saw that and I thought, okay, well, since we're having a major snowstorm, DTE is going to send somebody out, pretty soon, especially in the area that I'm in. So I really wasn't worried about it too much, and I was tired. So, she was trying to get me to go to my parents' house. Stayed at my parents' house. It's not far from here, but it's 10:30. I'm like, that means I would have to shovel the driveway, clean my car off, drive over there, and possibly have to shovel their driveway in order to pull in. So I was like, hell no, I'm not doing all that. So I'll just deal with it. If it gets too cold, then whatever. So everything powered back on around 3:00 because when I woke up in the morning, stuff was on, and I saw an email that came through that around 2:30, 3:00 saying that power had been restored or whatever. So I dodged the bullet because I would have been pissed if I would have had to get up at 3, 4, 5:00 in the morning because I was freezing and had to go do all of that. You know what I mean? So, but I was just too tired last night. I was like, I'll deal with it later.
I feel that.
All right, so tonight we are going to talk about The Karate Kid 2. Which one of you guys said this was your favorite Karate Kid movie?
Right here.
Oh, that's you. Okay. Did you rewatch it during this last week, or you were pretty much good?
I watched it twice.
Okay, so what did you think?
I still liked it. Still one of my favorites. I really enjoy the whole Okinawan experience. Since being in karate since I was about 9, I've always wanted to experience more of the Asian culture, Japan, Chinese, Korean. I originally started with Tang Sudo, so that's Korean. So I've always just had a thing for all that. So that's a part of that I really like of that movie.
Okay, all right. So you study the same style of martial arts as Cobra Kai. Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, what about you, Angel? Did you rewatch it this week also?
Yeah, so I definitely rewatched it this week. So I think after watching Cobra Kai, you kind of watch these movies with just a whole different perspective.
I agree 100%.
So I can honestly say I did not watch it the same. Honestly, for any of the movies, I have not watched it the same since Cobra Kai has came out.
Right.
I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find like little nuances, things that are going to segue into future Cobra Kai seasons. So that's how I started looking at it now.
Mm-hmm. I rewatched it also, and you know what? I think it's better now watching it now than I did when I was younger. When I was younger, and I'm saying that because it's a totally different movie than the first Karate Kid. Like the feel of the movie is nothing like the first one or the third one to me. It doesn't even have the same type of feel. Yeah. And I think it's because it was so Miyagi focused. Like Daniel really wasn't in my opinion, Daniel was not the star of this movie. This was Mr. Miyagi's movie and giving him a backstory. And it's like, to me, it's like one of the few times where a movie has a sequel and it's focusing on the instructor and telling us more about who the instructor is and his life. And he is just not a character in this movie just to support our main star. Like, this person has a life also. Yeah. And it really touched on that. And I enjoyed it. It's not one of my favorites. It's better than the next Karate Kid, and it's better than the Jaden Smith Karate Kid movie. But I still have it number 3 as far as my pecking order of the Karate Kid movies. So let's get into it. You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So this movie starts off basically as soon as the first Karate Kid movie ends, this one picks up. And it's kind of cool how if you didn't watch the first Karate Kid movie, you really didn't really need to. You could have started on the second one because they go back and show you everything that led up to this point where we start in this movie. So it tells you the situation between Johnny and Daniel, but it really didn't tell you why. What happened?
They gave you little snippets.
Right.
Little fractions of it.
Back then, that was that 1980s type of. That's the way you start a movie. Same thing for Rocky. You start with like a little intro of just let me catch you up to speed.
Right. So it kind of, to me, I mean, it was good that you can enjoy it, you can watch it, and you can kind of get a sense of where the first Karate Kid movie, what happened in the first movie, but it really didn't touch on the major issue between Johnny and Daniel because it kind of skipped over the whole alley thing. Yeah. As far as this, the quick little recap that they had at the beginning of this, they didn't really talk about Allie too much. But the movie starts off 6 months later. Oh, you know what? Before I jump to that part, before I jumped in it, let's talk about Cobra Kai because they are at the very, very beginning of this movie. And we see them in the parking lot. And before we get to them, people are coming up to Daniel, congratulating him, wanting his autograph. And Mr. Miyagi doesn't really seem to like what he's seeing right here, because he's trying to get Daniel to come on. Let's meet up with your mom and let's go have dinner with your mom and Allie. And it seems like he doesn't really want Daniel to fall in love with being a martial arts superstar, because he even says earlier, Daniel wanted to think more about his tournament career, and Mr. Miyagi is like, well, nah, you're going to retire. This is the end of it for you, pretty much, and
one on top.
One and done. One and done.
Yeah. And as they're outside talking, a couple of the judges come up and they congratulate Daniel, and then we see John Kreese. He just walks right through the middle of their conversations, and it was a bully move that he did, staring down Mr. Miyagi and kind of blowing past Daniel, and then he goes over to where Cobra Kai is, and Johnny was pretty happy, not happy, but he wasn't disappointed. If you watch Cobra Kai without watching the Karate Kid movies, you would have thought, if you never saw the Karate Kid, just started at Cobra Kai, you would have thought that this tournament messed with Johnny's head. Mm-hmm. But Johnny was a little bit different. He was okay at the end of the Karate Kid movie. He even congratulated Daniel. And, he was like, I got second place. And, John Kreese, he wasn't having it. He was pissed about that second place.
Yeah, he told me he's a loser. He's a bum.
Yeah.
He sucks.
It's funny when you think about it, right? When you look at Johnny and you think about like his whole attitude after it, you almost see like the mature and the growth kind of happen. And we talked about before, like he started having his own like moral thoughts about what he thought was right and what he thought was wrong. And he kind of had the approach like, man, I just lost to the better man that day.
Right.
But I will say, man, all these judges that were congratulating Daniel, if only they knew that black belt was stolen.
Right.
That congratulations would turn into you are banned.
Right. You know what? To go back into the earlier our talk for last week, you guys are right about something. I'm not talking about the trip. I'm not talking about the trip. I'm not talking about that. You guys are actually right. Out of all of my years of watching the Karate Kid, I've never ever paid attention to this one part before, and it was the part after they chased Daniel down after the Halloween dance. I never ever looked at Daniel ever. I've always looked at the skeletons. I always looked at Cobra Kai. I never looked and saw how bad Daniel looked. So when this came on and I'm watching the intro, I'm like, oh my God, Daniel was barely standing up. Like they're holding him up. I never paid attention to him ever. I've never paid attention. I'm watching Dutch when Dutch was hyping up Johnny and Johnny was getting hyped. I never ever looked at Daniel to see how he was looking. And just so happened I glanced over at him. I said, oh damn. He's knocked out. He's knocked out on his feet. I never ever saw him like just. He looked like a rag doll. He was just hanging there, So you guys are right. That flying sidekick would have killed him. That would have been the end of him. Yeah, he
done for.
You tried to sit there and tell us
I did
you deserved that ass beating that bad, and we kept telling you the man was already done. There was no need for him to do a flying out.
Man, I never ever looked at Daniel in my life until the other day. I never looked at him. Even when Mr. Miyagi was climbing up the fence and getting ready to, I was looking at Mr. Miyagi. I never looked at Daniel to this. I felt bad for him. I'm like, damn. He was going to get messed up if he got hit with a flying sidekick to his face. Yeah. That would have been the end of him. He would have been in the hospital.
We tried to tell you, man. You gotta give Daniel a shot. Gotta give it now for all the viewers out there. Let's see what Gina's gonna say. There's nothing here that he could throw with Cobra Kai. So let's see.
I can't wait.
So Cobra Kai. So John Kreese is yelling. This was John Kreese's fault. He still had students. Like Cobra Kai didn't just abandon him. They did not leave him. They were still outside. They were actually probably waiting on him because they were all just hanging around at a car, waiting to leave. And he approaches Johnny. He yells at him. Then he eventually puts Johnny in a chokehold.
A rear naked choke.
Yep.
And they're trying to get the guys are trying to get him off. He's holding on tight, and Johnny looks like he's in some serious pain. He wants to get be let go. Even Kreese hit. I think he hit Tommy and he hit Bobby.
Yep. They were trying to intervene.
Right. Exactly. So that's his fault for. We see in the next movie like how he lost everything because he still probably would have had students. They probably could have just went back to the drawing board and started again and worked on the next year. But
he showed the crazy side. He
did. No, he showed the nut side of him.
Yeah, exactly.
He was completely nuts. Like, and everybody's just standing around. Like, there are other people in the parking lot watching this. Mr. Miyagi was the only one decided to go over and do something about this. He goes over and he gets Kreese off of Johnny, and then Kreese decides to attack Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi moves both times, and Kreese ends up busting his knuckles, punching through the windows of a couple of vehicles. And then Mr. Miyagi gets him down and gets ready to chop his neck. He says the creed from the Cobra Kai. That was pretty sweet. I did like that part. Mr. Miyagi acting like a G. He was getting ready to take John Kreese out. But he didn't. He decided to play with him and honk his nose and then leave with Daniel. And Daniel even asked him, like, you could have killed him. And then he asked him, why didn't you kill him? Like, what? Like, why would you even ask that? Like, Mr. Miyagi doesn't want to go to jail. That was a dumb question.
Hey, listen, man, he's a teenager. He's a teenager.
I have to remember that he is a kid. So then after that, we fast forward to 6 months later, and once again, Daniel is complaining about something. He's coming back from
a prom, I think.
Yes, yeah. I was thinking, like, man, this kid, like, literally, like, I wonder where he went because now it's morning. And from the sounds of it, he didn't have a good time with Allie. I don't even know if he went with Allie, honestly, because he came in complaining about Allie and some football player from UCLA. So, like, I was thinking, like, I wonder, did Daniel just go to the beach and just sit there all night, like, crying?
Why you gotta make him sound like? Why you gotta make him sound?
You would say that. You would say that.
Why would he go to the beach and just cry all day?
Because that is Daniel.
No, it's not. He went to the prom. He tried to have a good time. It didn't go his way.
You sound like he's soft. He's not soft. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. This man fought for his life. He ain't soft.
Yeah, okay. His car's messed up, and, like, he blamed all of that on Allie, that the car got damaged. We find out a little bit more about that story later on in Cobra Kai, the series. We find out what really happened that night and what happened with the car. And then he's also upset that he finds out his mom in that damn job. She's going to be transferred to Fresno, California for the summer. Yeah, for some reason, and he's having a meltdown about this. This is something else that I really didn't understand, because to me, like, all right, you're just going up to Fresno for 3 months. Like, you only have Mr. Miyagi as a friend. Like, and you just moved here. Like, what are you really about to miss this summer? What you gotta say, Angel?
He's supposed to be going to college anyway, so
yeah.
He wasn't going to college in the summertime.
Well, this is what I would say. So, two things. One, whatever job she had at Fresno, it wasn't even the truth. It was probably some other job in the back alley. She said she was doing robotics, ended up being a manager at a shop. Like, we don't even want to trust what she says. And then for that, listen, man, he cultivated a relationship with his instructor.
Yes.
Name one other fictional character that has won a tournament within like a month and a half of training. That man feels like he's on top of the world. He's trying to repeat. He was trying to be a superstar. So yeah, he don't want to leave Mr. Miyagi. He knew his best shot of success was with Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi, he got a car from dealing with it. Like, come on, man. He didn't even have that.
His only friend. His only friend. That's
okay.
sad.
Pretty much.
That's sad. Mr. Miyagi should have been like, "Hey man, come on! Like, don't you got any other friends? Can't you meet any other friends? Why don't I get a couple of more students? Then you can be their best friend." But anyway, we gonna move on. So, Mr. Miyagi, we find out Mr. Miyagi also talked to his mom, and he is going to stay with Mr. Miyagi for the summer. Mr. Miyagi is actually in the backyard building a guest room onto his house. Daniel is so frustrated. Mr. Miyagi teaches him how to deal with his frustrations. When he gets angry, he teaches him this breathing technique, which is pretty cool. I don't actually take my time and put my hands together and do that, but there are times where I'm stressed or I need to take time out and I have to relax and I have to take a couple of deep breaths in and just relax for a minute. So I thought that was cool, especially if somebody as hot-headed as Daniel. Mr. Miyagi taught him how to relax and cool out.
Yeah.
So after that part, a mail carrier comes and he brings a letter from Okinawa to Mr. Miyagi. And the letter tells him that his dad is sick. And he decides that he needs to go to Okinawa. So now Daniel plans are pretty much shot at this point. At least that's what he's thinking in his head. He's not going to be able to stay with Mr. Miyagi. He's going to have to get sent to Fresno with his mom because Mr. Miyagi decided that he is going to go to Okinawa, back to Okinawa, and find out what's going on with his dad. Anything? You guys got anything about that?
I've always wondered. So in the first movie, Mr. Miyagi talks about a family and everything like that. And then in the second movie, he got a girlfriend. So things didn't work out with the girlfriend. And then he got the family after all that? Or did he meet the family in America? Yeah. I've always wondered about that.
Okay, so Mr. Miyagi, he had the girlfriend in Okinawa. And we've learned in this movie that he had to run away from Okinawa because he didn't want to have a conflict with his friend about her. So he left at a young age. He left at about 17 to 18 years old. That's how old he was.
But I'm saying, was the wife and the family in Okinawa?
No,
or in America?
They were here.
He's trying to
say, but he said he lost them during the war.
No. Yes, he was in the military. So he came here and, he got a girlfriend, a wife, or whoever. They never said that he went from Okinawa straight to the military. They never said that.
That's what I was always wondering.
Yeah, so something else, he had to come here and have a little life before he joined the military, or he could have met her while he was in the military. We don't know anything.
What side of the military was he on, though?
They might have said, and actually in the next Karate Kid movie.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, they might have did because there was a reunion.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I think he might have been in the Army. They might have either said it in Karate Kid 3 and 4. Because
I didn't watch 4. After 3, it stopped. I'm sorry, I don't watch.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. But
we'll have to listen for that in the next one.
Yeah, but I think they do say. They actually might have said it in the first one. Not said it, but actually when Daniel was looking through Mr. Miyagi's papers, he put out some newspapers, and it might have been in there. I really kind of want to say the Army, but I'm not 100% sure if it was the Army or not.
Okay.
So he has this girlfriend in Okinawa who wrote him. I have no idea how she knew where he was. Like that was weird.
So this was my thing. Like I didn't understand because the way the movie depicted their relationship as if they lost contact. Like completely. Like it was almost like he was more surprised that she was even like alive and single, and he didn't know nothing about her. So
because he fled. So she gave him the respect, she said, to leave him be because that's what he left because of that. So she figured out for years where he was, but left him alone.
That's what I want to know. Like how? Like if he ran away, like how the hell did she find him? Like
they don't got yellow pages back then for different countries. I don't know how.
No Facebook or Instagram.
No Google. She couldn't Google him. So I have no idea. They never explained that part, but that would be something that would be interesting to to ever ask one of the original writers if we ever get a chance to talk to them if they're still
love
alive.
them.
You know what? Who we should ask? We should ask Jeff. We should ask Jeffopedia.
There
Jeff
you go.
Doss. I'm quite sure Jeff would know. Jeff knows everything.
Yeah.
So Mr. Miyagi, he immediately gets a plane ticket. He gets his passport, and he was okay. Trav said that he was in the army. Okay, so he was in the army. Mr. Miyagi was in the army.
Okay.
He gets his passport. And he's going to take off. Daniel is not really letting on that he wants to come also. Then he kind of asked him like, why did he leave? And then Mr. Miyagi tells Daniel he left because he didn't want to have a conflict with his friend. So basically, Mr. Miyagi left Okinawa because he had a girlfriend, but his girlfriend had an arranged marriage to marry, just so happened to be Mr. Miyagi's best friend. Mr. Miyagi didn't care about that. He still proclaimed to the village that he wanted to marry her. What was her name? It wasn't Kamiko. Kamiko was Daniel's girlfriend. Yukie. Yukie was Mr. Miyagi's girlfriend. And he told the whole village that he wanted to marry her. That pissed off his friend, Sato.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. So Sato challenged him to a fight. But that fight was to the death. Mr. Miyagi did not want to fight his best friend to the death. Do you think if that was a point match, Mr. Miyagi would have fought?
No. No.
Listen,
I'm not gonna fight his friend.
listen. If that was a point match, Mr. Miyagi would have stole Sato's belt, and he would have with your own belt. That's what would have happened.
So that now we find out the reason why Mr. Miyagi, and I ain't gonna lie, I read that the Cobra Kai series was planning to do different type of spinoffs from the Cobra Kai series. We saw the John Kreese. It looks like they were trying to give us a little backstory in the John Kreese, and it might be one of the spinoffs that they do. I would be interested in watching the Mr. Miyagi spinoff based upon this movie. Like, it seems like a lot of stuff happened. You got his time in the war. We got his time before the war. We don't know what happened with his wife.
You're saying like a young Miyagi spinoff?
Yeah,
like,
a young Miyagi series. They could take care of it, and it doesn't have to be like a long term 20 episodes a year type of thing. It could be like a lot of how the new format is, anywhere from 10 to 13 episodes. Yeah. And if they do it like in half-hour sessions, it'll be pretty cool. At least I think it'll be interesting to see that.
Now, my thing, if I see that, I want to really get into the nuts and bolts of like what distinguishes him being so good, right? Because throughout all the movies, and even with the show, it talks about how good he was and like how at high of a level he is. I want to see like what was that level truly at? Maybe put him in a tournament. Maybe put him in what tournaments were back then.
Well, I don't think Mr. Miyagi did.
He never did a tournament.
Yeah, he never did tournaments. He said that in the first movie.
But no, I'm saying but maybe there could be a reason why. Maybe he hurt someone. Maybe
I honestly,
maybe he killed someone, and that's when he killed Kreese. You never know.
I know Mr. Miyagi been in a lot of fights because he says that in the first Karate Kid movie. So we know that there have been a lot of fights for him. But I think he was always like, he seemed like it was always a defense type of thing. But I think that'd be cool.
And And you believe that?
Mr. Miyagi.
We know better after season 3 of Cobra Kai. We know better.
Well, yeah, Mr. Miyagi has secrets. We
just saying. We know better.
My reason for saying that is because Gene will like somehow try to strip everything up. So I'm like, you believe this now? Now you.
I've never. Mr. Miyagi.
He hasn't done you wrong.
Mr. Miyagi, unlike Daniel, Mr. Miyagi has never acted like a bitch in this series, on this movie, or anything, So I have no reason to, doubt Mr. Miyagi at all,
You think him running away from a fight was noble?
It wasn't just a fight. He had to kill or be killed.
That's the way.
I know for me, I mean, I don't think anyone is worth me having to go get killed for, unless it's my family. But so maybe I guess I can see it from that point of view. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you think?
Yeah, it just wasn't a fight. If it was just going to be a fight, Mr. Miyagi running away, okay, that's kind of whack. But like, you have to, that's the rule, and nobody's going to step in. And we see that at the end of this movie.
Yeah,
like, nobody's going to help.
No.
It's not. It's
Bushido.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so Mr. Miyagi got his ticket. He got his passport. Daniel tells him he'll come see him in the morning before he leaves. He lies. Of course he lies.
He was planning. He had a good reason.
Yeah, because he knew Mr. Miyagi was not going to let him come if he went to the house first. So he decided to wait till Mr. Miyagi gets to the gate and is boarding the plane before he comes running to join him.
Or he was still getting everything ready and he had to meet him.
You see that little bag he had? He had everything.
So he had to convince his mom. He had to get all his stuff together. Maybe he had to find his passport. Who knows?
I think his mom would have been like,
he was leaving real early in the morning.
You're right about the passport thing. And I think his mom would have been, I think she was okay with him going because of everything, how Mr. Miyagi helped him out in the first movie. And, it's understandable for, Daniel wanting to be with Mr. Miyagi at this point, going to Okinawa. He wants to make sure that he's okay. What I did not understand, which was irritating me, is these guys are on the plane and Mr. Miyagi has the middle seat and Daniel has the window seat. And there is nobody sitting in the seat next to Mr. Miyagi. Like, wouldn't he want to spread out something? They're going to Okinawa. You need some room or something, some elbow space or something. But no, they're sitting right next to each other. I can't sit right next to somebody like that if we have the opportunity to spread out on an airplane.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, that's
I'm right there with you.
That's the most uncomfortable thing, having to sit up straight.
Yeah.
Arm 12 inches apart, making it like this. It's the most uncomfortable thing. Yeah.
So they go to Okinawa. This was funny. They get off the plane. They see a poster of Sato. He's chopping some wood. He's breaking it. And Daniel asked Mr. Miyagi, "Can you do that?" He said, I don't know. I've never been attacked by a tree." That was pretty funny. They walk out and Chosen is standing there.
Oh, this is where it started. Let's get into this because I'm ready. Woo!
Now, I don't know why you think I'm going to be on Chosen's side, Angel, because Chosen...
I'm just curious.
Chosen is a real bully. This is not like the Johnny situation. Chosen, not at all. Chosen is I think he's a nut. He's a psychopath, honestly, because he had no reason to have an issue with Daniel. None at all. He didn't know him at all.
He did have a reason.
Why?
Back then, you follow the code. Whoever was your instructor's enemy is now your enemy. It's like a Shiai. Right? If we have a Waffle Dojo, perfect example, throwing in some plugs. Chicago and Detroit.
Yep.
Point Karate. You don't care who it is. If it's Jason, if it's Larry Tankson, if you don't care who it is. And that's Chicago, and I'm over here, I'm Detroit. Nah, we can't make you.
But at the same time, I'm not about to walk up to Butcher and squeeze his hand and almost break his fingers or Larry Tankson or Jason.
But for them, it's all honor. So for him, you're dishonorable, and as your student, you must have a dishonorable student. So now I don't like you. I don't like your student.
Exactly. In his mind,
by association.
Wait a minute. So y'all, wait. Y'all okay with Chosen? Y'all okay with Chosen?
I'm not okay with him.
Okay. I'm just making sure. Like, hey man, y'all can't get on my boy Johnny for me looking on Chosen. I wasn't gonna let y'all do that. I wasn't gonna let y'all get away with that.
Don't you start.
So Chosen, I mean, he's almost breaking Daniel's hand, shaking his hand when he, and he picks up Mr. Miyagi and Daniel. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, how did he know they were going to be at this flight? Is he just waiting around all day, every day? Was he planning to wait here all week, standing there with that sign, waiting for them?
He probably has some connects.
But how? Like, okay,
The
so
uncle owns everything there. He probably owned the
Exactly.
airport.
okay, so Yukie writes Mr. Miyagi, and we don't know when she wrote him. We don't know how long it takes a letter to get to California from Okinawa. She could have wrote him. It could have been 2 weeks ago.
It could have been 2 weeks or a month. That sounds about right back then.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so this whole time was Chosen just waiting at the airport, waiting on Daniel and Mr. Miyagi to get there.
I think Sato was still cool with the dad. So even though him and Miyagi weren't cool, he was always, because if you noticed, he was basically still had plenty of respect for the dad.
Yeah.
Not for Miyagi. So he probably knew the second that the dad was not doing good that Miyagi had to come.
Yeah.
So he probably just checked on the airport and waited until he noticed that Miyagi was on a flight coming in, and boom, sent the crazy dude.
Yeah, that you're right. You're right. He could have did that.
You also gotta remember, man. You never know. Like, he could have been checking the flights that were coming from that particular area, so that could have made it easier. Also, I just want to say this: if someone ever, like Chosen, squeezes my hand like that, boy, we are throwing down. Like, it is. Because you know,
that's a power move.
When
you gotta squeeze it back.
When someone gives
you gotta squeeze it back.
They'll throw some soul on it. But when someone gives you a firm handshake and then they like squeeze a little extra, your mind, the first thing is, well, now I'm gonna squeeze, and then you like pull them closer, like, yo, so what's up? Like, what is it?
Yeah, I had that issue. It really wasn't an issue, but when I met my girl's uncle, he has to be in his 60s. He's 60 years old. So when I met him, I shook his hand and he squeezed my hand. Like, it was a firm handshake, and I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting that at all. And I was like, oh, okay. So the next time I saw him, I remembered. I said, oh, he's going to squeeze my hand. Let me get ready for it. So when I saw him, I squeezed the hell out of his hand. And I just saw his hands go down like this. And he said, damn, what the hell?
What? Wait. He's okay dishing it out, but he can't take it? Boom. He does that to me, and I'll do it back to you. I will call him out in a second.
I bet you felt good, huh? I bet you felt good, huh? Did you, Gene? You felt good?
No, I felt bad. I don't feel good about squeezing the hell out of a 60-year-old man, but I thought that's just how he shook hands, you know? So.
Yeah. Look at you, Johnny. Look at you.
So Chosen and his boy decide that they're going to kidnap Daniel and Mr. Miyagi. And they take him to this warehouse, and Sato is at the warehouse. Now they know that Chosen, he just wasn't just some random pickup guy. He was sent by Sato to kidnap us. And Sato is ready to fight. He's ready to pick up where they left off. And he was ready to fight Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi was happy to see him when he saw Sato, but Sato really wasn't interested in being friends. He wanted to get right down to business. He told Mr. Miyagi, go see your dad, and then I will come see you after that. Go ahead, Angel.
Respect. So, all right. So I'm not saying like all that stuff is, a good thing in terms of like family affairs. But the one thing I always do value about that culture, man, is I guess almost the respect to the disrespect. So in terms of like, I don't like you, but you're going to know why I don't like you. And it's always going to be known, and at least you'll never wonder what's happening. So there's like no fakeness between them. And in that culture, I've always respected that part of the fact that like we'll come to terms, we'll talk. And I think almost in terms of like a gentleman's agreement without fighting to the death and all that stuff. But like without that, it's like a gentleman's agreement. Like, we'll talk, we'll sit it out, we'll sit down, talk, figure out what we can do. If we just can't come to terms, but at least you know where I stand and I know where you stand in the sandbox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've always liked that part, always.
After that, after they have their words with Sato, they decide to get a cab and go to Mr. Miyagi's dad's house. Let's call him. We're either going to call him either Mr. Miyagi, or we're going to call him Mr. Miyagi Senior. I don't know which one, because they didn't give him a name. It was just
we'll call him Mr. Miyagi, and then we'll call the instructor Daniel is Mr. Miyagi-san.
There you go.
All right.
Perfect.
So they go to they find the Miyagi village. They go there. It's called Tomi Village. and it's right by an air base. And I don't think that air base was not there the last time Mr. Miyagi was there. They go to the house. Now, when they got to the house, did that house remind you of anything?
As far as what?
It kind of reminded me of Daniel's house in Cobra Kai because it was like.
I think it was meant to be a replica of
that's what it kind of seemed
dojo.
Like. Yeah, because it was like, this is a house, but it seemed like there were different compartments, and you would walk outside to get to another room of the house. And it kind of seemed like that. It was like it kind of had that feel when you looked at Daniel's house in Cobra Kai. So that's what I thought of, because I was like, man, this is like a big house, and all these different little buildings or little extra houses that were there. It seemed nice.
Yeah.
So they get there, and when they get there, man, that must have been a long flight, because they left. Mr. Miyagi said his flight was at 6 a.m. When they were on the plane, it was nighttime because they decided to go to sleep. They land, and when they get to Mr. Miyagi's house, it's nighttime again. So I was thinking, like, goodness gracious, like, did they have layovers? How long is this trip? I didn't even look it up. Normally, when something like that jumps in my head, I look up to see how long the flight would be.
I don't know how. I mean, I want to say it's close near like the 15-hour range. I mean, I could be wrong. Give or take, like maybe like 12, 13, 14, 15 hours to get there. But then I don't know. You guys tell me. It seemed like the village was extremely far from just civilization.
I think that was the idea.
To me, that's what I got from. So that's why I feel like the way like time was passing. Maybe that could be it. That's what I saw. I mean, you guys let me know what you think.
I don't know. I have no idea. I just know that when they pulled up to the house, it was dark. So I don't know. The only thing I could think of was maybe they had layovers. I
don't know about that, man. I would have been like, man, if it's dark, Sato's in there, he's got to come out of a corner.
He might have. I wouldn't pull it past him.
So he goes there, and we meet Kumike. I think that was her name, right? Kumike? Was that how you say her name? So we see her. We're introduced to her. She takes Mr. Miyagi. Well, she told Mr. Miyagi where his dad was, and that Yukie was there taking care of him. And Mr. Miyagi goes. He sees his dad. He sees Yukie. They speak, and his dad opens his eyes, and he sees him. And that had to have been something, man. Like, I can't imagine waking up and I see my kid, who I haven't seen since he was 17 years old, and now he's a senior citizen. Like, that had to have been, like, crazy. And it's crazy that what's her name? Kumiko, that she even recognized him. Like, how would she even know, like, this is Mr. Miyagi? Like, how did she not know, like, this was just a regular? Nobody's seen him since he was a kid, a teenager, since he was Daniel's age.
I mean, I don't.
They all recognized him.
Yeah,
they all recognized him.
I don't know. Maybe he sent a picture that they never talked about.
Right. Right.
That's the best.
Maybe they remembered his eyes or something.
Yeah. So he was happy. So his dad is happy when he sees his son has come home, and that was a nice little scene right there. And the next morning, Daniel wakes up. He speaks to Yukie, and she tells him that Mr. Miyagi is in the dojo training. And inside of the dojo, he is doing a kata. It seemed like, to me, that Mr. Miyagi, his whole style, his martial arts style, is based around katas. And I would think, okay, so, would you mind Daniel competing in the tournament doing kata instead of fighting? You think he would have had a problem with that?
I think, I don't know, I mean, me being a traditional martial artist, like from like kind of like a similar lineage to Mr. Miyagi's style, I see it as just, I think he wanted Daniel to learn the application of all the techniques before going to a tournament. And I feel like, because if you look at, when we looked at Karate Kid 1, it seemed like he was telling him to do all of the techniques, and he was just telling him just to try and think about it differently. And that's what I got out of it. And again, like, I know my style is more rooted to what the style is portrayed in Karate Kid, so I can kind of like understand that side of it. But you guys tell me what you think. I think if you would have did kata and fighting, Either way, that man still wore a stolen black belt. I'll never get that.
Well, but I think it would be interesting to see Daniel doing more than just fighting. It would have been great to see Daniel do a kata or do some weapons or any of that stuff would have been interesting because that's still, karate for us.
Exactly, which ends up being brought into Cobra Kai later on. So
Yeah.
I think I think it would have showed his versatility more as a martial artist.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
So in the dojo, we actually get to see some of Mr. Miyagi's ancestors because they have them on the wall, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But goodness gracious, 400 years of Miyagi's are on that wall. Man, like I can't even fathom that. Like 400 years from now, and my my great keep on going with the greats grandkids has just a karate school with pictures of myself and Travis and my dad and my uncle and Avery and Morgan and whoever else comes down the line. That's so crazy to me. I mean, it would be cool. It's just crazy to me.
They're gonna call you Sir Gene. That's what they're gonna call you. And they're gonna say he had wonderful philosophies.
That's
funny kid.
That would be true. That would be true, my brother. So inside of the dojo, Mr. Miyagi breaks down the family history, and he tells Daniel about the first Miyagi who brought karate back to Okinawa, and where things started from. And then he also gives him the drum, which is a part of the ending, but he never really.
But he said it's a staple of the Miyagi-Do karate. Yeah,
that was the secret, but he never really taught him nothing about the drum. So when I saw the ending, I'm like, how does Daniel like? Did he just do this himself? Did he just make something up to do it?
He was practicing.
So I mean, this is tough.
He was practicing a couple times.
But that drum. All right, I'm gonna be honest. He didn't bring that to life at the end. Like I couldn't believe someone practicing that and then them using it and actually it working. It's just like anything with kata, right? If you practice your kata enough and you bring it to life, you could almost sit there and look and say, "Yo, I could see him attacking that person and like sweeping him, punch him in the face." I couldn't see that with what Daniel did. I was like, in that time, I'll give this to Eugene. He looked soft. I was like, "Yo, man."
We didn't even see what he did. Like, I couldn't tell, was he slapping him as he was going from side to side, or if his hands were clasped together and he was hitting him with double fists.
It's like a block and a punch at the same time. Is my understanding. It's like a block and a punch at the same time.
Yeah, because Daniel asked Mr. Miyagi, was there a counter punch with it? Because originally, when he showed him how to do the drum technique, it was a block. It was about evading the punch that was coming at you. And he asked him, was there a counter punch? And he said, ask the drum. Like Jesus Christ, just answer the question.
That's Miyagi. That's Miyagi for you.
Yeah, that's the Miyagi-isms. Don't go against that.
So, Mr. Miyagi, go ahead.
When you guys are talking about him practicing, maybe there's a deleted scene or something, like a training montage that we missed out on.
Probably so, because there was no training montages in this movie at all.
It was not very 80s like, not at all.
I know, it's terrible.
So Mr. Miyagi is giving Daniel a little tour around the village when Sato shows up, man. Sato showed up and he was ready to fight. And I gotta tell you, man, he asked Mr. Miyagi to fight. Mr. Miyagi's like, well, no, I'm not going to be there tonight. So, you and your nephew are going to lose some sleep. So Sato said, okay, we're going to fight right now. And when he dropped down into that stance to punch Miyagi, man, I felt that. I was sitting there thinking, like, that's about to hurt. That's going to be a hard punch.
He's bringing it to life. That's why. He brought it to life. Yeah.
But Daniel asked Miyagi what he would have done if he would have had to take that punch, and Miyagi said he would have moved.
Yeah, he said he would have blocked it. He said
because that was a telegraph. That's a big telegraph. I'm just saying.
It was, but that shit looked like it was gonna hurt.
This is my thing, right? I feel like this is just my personal thing. I feel like Sato had the advantage if he would have fought Miyagi. Now I'm gonna explain why, and I want you guys to give me what you think. I say this because Miyagi really started practicing with a partner once Daniel came around and got Miyagi to start thinking about stuff differently. I feel like Sato had all the resources around him. So he constantly was fresh, right? It's like anything else. An active fighter versus someone who's inactive. Whether it's UFC, boxing, karate, whatever it is.
Miyagi trained with Sato first.
Yeah, but that
when they were kids.
But you know what, Angel?
When you're a kid, but dude, that's like
I'm just saying.
That's like saying the kid that I beat when he was 5. If I see him now, I'm gonna go. He's gonna still do that.
I'm just saying when you're talking about the training, you're talking about he trained with Sato, and it was his dad. You think his dad ain't teaching him when Sato's not around? Come on.
I would agree with you, Angel, because it makes sense. But the simple fact that Daniel beat Chosen in the final, I mean, that just throws that theory away. Because if that's the case, then Chosen should not have lost to Daniel because he has done a lot more karate than Daniel.
You and I both know we can poke so many holes in that.
100%. Daniel should be dead. There should be no third movie.
We can poke so many holes. That's the hole.
All right, let's move on. So Yukie, she runs out during this confrontation. She's going to tell Mr. Miyagi, like, "Hey, your dad wants you. He wants you, and he wants Sato." They run back to see Mr. Miyagi Senior, and Mr. Miyagi. Mr. Miyagi. Well, we're only going to say that for a couple more seconds because this is his farewell right here. This is the end of it. He grabs Mr. Miyagi's hand. He grabs Sato's hand. He puts them together. He lets them know. That's pretty much saying, like, look, squash this shit, and I'm out. And that was the end of him. He laid down, went to sleep. He got on that bus to heaven, and he rolled down.
Yo, I can just stop, man. You're killing this dude. Like, literally, you're putting him back into the grave.
He's out of here. And they get teary-eyed. They're sad that he just passed away. Even Sato was sad. He even tells Mr. Miyagi, like, look, I'm going to give you 3 days or more, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to send you with him. He said that, I'm going to reunite you guys.
Can join you.
Yeah.
That's gangster. I'm not going to lie. That
is 100%. And pretty much after that, we start to see Mr. Miyagi and his relationship with Yukie, his relationship with Daniel. Daniel is there for him as he is mourning. But also Daniel and Kumiko are starting to get close together also. Mm-hmm. Now there's a couple times, we start to see the problems developing between Daniel and Chosen. And this is 100% Daniel's fault. I ain't going to lie. So a man is taking some carrots. I guess he's selling them to Chosen. I really don't know the business of what they do in Okinawa. But there was a guy who had a basket of carrots, and he's going to take them to Chosen. They fall over, and he helps put the carrots back into the wheelbarrow, and they take it down to Chosen. And I guess Chosen is buying these different vegetables from people. Daniel puts it on the scale, and it kind of breaks. He kind of not paying attention, and it falls over. And some of the weights, he take it, and he feels that it's not a real weight, and he breaks it in half. Like, I mean, Chosen is wrong for that, but Daniel, I mean, you're knocking his hustle right then and there. Who do you blame in that situation? Like they both are wrong, but damn.
So why is it whenever you ask a question, it's always you want to know who's more wrong? Why can't we just leave it at they're both wrong?
I want to know your opinion about it.
But you give me the opinion, and you like sway me to go.
That's mine. That's my opinion. That's not yours. That's mine.
My opinion is Daniel wasn't looking for trouble this time. He wasn't looking to start nothing. He didn't. Because if you see, he saw the weight on the ground. And he's like, "Well, what is this white crap on the back?" And then he's like, "Oh, wait a second." So
he had no business to do that. Like that's looking.
What's he supposed to do? Give it back to him and be like, "Oh yeah, keep ripping these poor people off"?
No. I don't know. That's I'm legitimately asking. Like who was wrong? Like Chosen was clearly wrong for what he's doing. Like he's ripping off these poor people.
Yeah.
But Daniel, like, okay, you could have said like this is some bullshit. Like he snapped it and showed everybody like this is some bullshit.
Okay,
like,
it was.
Okay, but listen, in a situation like this where these people are temperamental, and next thing you know, you're going to be fighting for your life. Was that a smart decision to do that?
Well, hold on. So do you think it's wrong for Daniel to stand up and stop pulling because really Chosen's pulling the wool over everyone's eyes?
I think he should have been like, man, why are you ripping these people off? Why are you cheating them, this, that, and the other? Have those other people get involved. The way he snapped it and then threw it down and was like, we'll talk later or something like that. Like, okay,
no matter what he does, Chosen didn't know him and shook his hand and wanted to break his face. At that point, what does it matter whether I say something to you? Actually, if I say something to you in the middle of me talking, you'll punch me in my face. For now, let me just do something. And
I think that was the beginning of the problem between them because before that, Chosen was trying to egg Daniel on. Daniel really wasn't budging on it. Yeah. They were talking mess to him, and he was ignoring it because he was with Mr. Miyagi, and Mr. Miyagi was ignoring it. This is what situation Miyagi wasn't there. So,
hey, he wanted to be a man. He wanted to stand up for himself.
Yeah, well, Chosen took it as being
disrespectful.
You took my honor away from me, but you were already being dishonorable.
Yeah, but I mean,
you can't take someone's honor away when they're already being dishonorable.
Yeah, this situation like this. I mean, no matter what, this was going to end bad for Daniel. No matter what, Yeah. So Chosen coming me because Chosen he comes back to him later. And he tells him like, you disrespect me again, you disrespect my honor again, and I'll kill you. Like he tells him that. And we kind of go from there. Like we start seeing Mr. Miyagi fall in love, and we see Daniel starting to like Kumake, but also things with Chosen are starting to get worse and worse and worse as things go on. Mr. Miyagi and Yukie, they have that tea ceremony. I thought, okay, Mr. Miyagi, he about to get some. That's what I was thinking. Like, man, Mr. Miyagi, he's about to do his thing tonight.
I'll start painting.
As far as Chosen goes, Chosen attacks Daniel. He kicks him in the stomach. And throws the rattle at, not the rattle. He calls it a rattle, but it's the drum.
The drum.
Then later on, Kumake and Daniel are in town, and they go into a bar. Kumake tells him like, "This is a bad place. Like, we should not be in here." Daniel wants to go in anyway, and he sees people trying to break ice, and he's talking too loud because they overhear him saying how bad their stances are. So they wanted to say, well, why don't you see what you can do also? Daniel really wasn't interested in breaking the ice. He hadn't done that before, but he's still running his mouth about it when Chosen comes in. Go ahead, Angel.
That's where that's when I started, like, in that particular scene, I hated when Daniel did that, right? Because, and I'm giving you the perspective from just giving it to you from like an active person and then just in general. We know there's that dude at the basketball park who always wants to talk, and he can't even, he has two left thumbs. But he's going to tell you how to make a beautiful layup and how you got to shoot better and this and that. Especially in karate, you'll get the parents that haven't even stepped on the mat, but because their kid does it so intently, they think that they know karate and they got a black belt by association, and that they'll tell you your stances are off and this and that. When he did that, I'm like, yo, man, shut your mouth. Like, what? He didn't have the confidence to even go out there and do it yourself. At the end of the day, if you're going to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. That's it. And when he did that, I was like,
but over 6 months have passed. We don't know what kind of training he's been doing in those 6 months. That's the only thing I can come up with.
I give
You
you
don't
that.
know what kind of training they've been doing in
I
6
give you
months.
that. But you know he wasn't breaking no damn ice. He got worried that Sato was breaking a damn tree. So you know
There's a whole difference between ice and tree.
So Sato comes in, they place a bet. Miss Kumake, she runs out and gets Mr. Miyagi, who's at the store around the corner, and she brings him back in. But he's like, okay, I'm a bet too. I bet he breaks all 6 of them. Sato comes
This
in.
is the tournament situation all over again, by the way. Here's Mr. Miyagi supposed to help. Okay, let's go help with Cobra Kai. Now I'm in a damn tournament. Now he's like, oh, Mr. Miyagi's here. I'm so glad to see you. Oh, please help. Oh, yeah, I'm going to help. Let's put $600 down. Go break 6 pieces of ice.
Hey, let me tell you something. In all seriousness, I was just about to say, yo, Mr. Miyagi has the worst problem resolution conflict, like the worst technique ever. Like, you try to like take a break and walk away, Mr. Miyagi's like, no, you'll beat him. It's like, what?
Right.
You got this.
He has confidence in Daniel. But Daniel does. He breaks all of the ice, and that just makes things worse. I mean, this is something like Chosen asked for this, and now this is what happened. Every time he does something to Daniel, Daniel betters him, and he gets upset that he disrespected his honor. But if you didn't do what you did, then this wouldn't have happened. You know, so it's gradually getting worse and worse between Daniel and Chosen. After the ice, they follow them to a bar, or they just happen to be in the bar also when Kumiko and Daniel are out on a date, and they have a fight. Chosen wants his money back. He takes his money back, but then Daniel takes it back from him. He punches him low, grabs his money. You know what, man? I'm not knocking him for that one. Like, he had choice.
Me neither.
He had to do what he had to do.
He knew what was going to happen.
So they end up running out the bar. Chosen and Sato come to the house again to fight Mr. Miyagi. They start destroying the house. Mr. Miyagi shows up. He beats those guys up. They take off. They run away. He goes to talk to Sato. He wants to squash it. He goes to Sato's house and to try and squash it. Sato doesn't want any part of squashing it. The next day, he shows up with a construction crew. They're about to bulldoze the whole village. And Mr. Miyagi finally decides, okay, we'll fight tonight. Sato is happy. He's finally going to get a chance to fight Miyagi.
He's going to get a chance to kill him.
Right. Later on that night. And now Daniel was about to get some from Kumike because she decided she was going to do the tea ceremony also. You see, I mean, she took the little stick out of her hair. She let her hair down. I was like, oh, it's on. He's like, forget Allie. Allie who?
Allie who?
And then the storm hits. Now, during this storm, what genius decided to let a little girl climb up this ladder to ring the bell to let everyone know to take cover in this village? Like, why was that not an adult up there ringing that bell? Even though it does work out for Daniel in the end in the future, but, you know, just common sense. Like, who said, okay, whatever your name is, run up that ladder, ring this bell, let everybody know, and then come on and join us.
Probably figured she had no fear.
Yes. Well, she did have fear because Daniel had to go up to help her. But before he does that, Sato is training in a hut. Hut falls down on him. Mr. Miyagi and Daniel go over to help him. Chosen does not go. He says that his uncle is dead. He runs to safety to hide.
Chosen shows his true colors.
Yeah, he did. Chosen, Mr. Miyagi and Daniel help Sato get out, take him to safety. Daniel climbs up the ladder, rescues the little girl. Sato also goes out. He tells Chosen to go help Daniel. He doesn't. He doesn't want to.
So Sato goes, he can't help because of his he took his honor.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't help somebody that took his honor away.
Sato goes out, helps Daniel, and brings him back in. The next day, they are cleaning up the village. Sato shows up with the crew, decides to help, and says the village is going to be for them, for everyone, forever. He's not going to sell it. They decide to let them have their little bone dance celebration in the castle. that evening, they decide to do that. They go there to party. They're having a good time. And Kumiko is she's about to do her special dance. Daniel gives her some encouragement. As she's doing the dance, Chosen returns. He comes swinging down the line like a G.I. Joe character. He jumps down and he pulls a knife and he puts it to Kumiko's neck, and he wants to fight Daniel to the death. I was wondering, like, what happened if Daniel would have lost and he would have died? Like, how would that conversation have gone between Mr. Miyagi and Mrs. LaRusso?
I think Mr. Miyagi would have stayed in Okinawa. Well, I can't go back there now. It's over.
You might be right about that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I'm too old for this shit.
Right. But, this was the finale. This is the final. I like this fight only because it seemed like a real fight. It wasn't like a lot of movie fights where it was short. I mean, this fight might have been like 2 minutes. And that's something like a real fight would be. 2 to 3 minutes. Like, a fight is, if not 30 seconds. Fights are not going to be long.
The only unrealistic thing about this fight was that Daniel should have died.
Yes. Yes.
Honest to God. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's the hero. It's movie, whatever. And that's good. I'm glad. But Daniel should have died. Yeah,
and you know what? He turned his back on Sato. Like, after he did his drum technique on Sato, right? He honked his horn
Chosen?
Like, yes, I'm sorry, Chosen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. He did this drum technique on Chosen, and then he honked his horn like Mr. Miyagi honked his nose, like Mr. Miyagi did
at the beginning.
At the beginning, right? But then he just lets Chosen fall to the ground. He turns his back and he hugs Kumiko. I wouldn't have turned my back on Chosen. Like, he was not knocked out. He was hurt. He could have jumped up and grabbed Daniel in the choke and choked him out, or he still had his knife. He could have came and,
he might have killed both of them.
Yeah, But, Daniel was the hero. He saved the day. He saved Kumiko's life, and they celebrated. And that is the end of this movie. What you guys think?
Again, I still liked it. I really did.
So I kind of liked, like pre-show talk. I kind of like what we said earlier because I found myself kind of going through the same thing once it was said. And I think Trav said it. As someone who does karate and what I experienced karate to be growing up, I definitely like the whole tournament environment aspect to it, right? The one good thing I liked about this movie, for me particularly, and the way I saw it, and you guys can let me know what you think, I think they wanted it to be more real application fighting. I think they wanted it to show, like, he can do good in the tournament, and then he can use what he learned and now do it in a real life situation, right?
But that didn't work out for him, and we'll find that out in the next movie.
Yep. But you know what's even crazier? They did the same thing with Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
If you think about it, now that you're just what you just said made me think. They did the exact same thing in Cobra Kai. I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Yeah. So you know what? Looking back on all this, so like, how we started off the show saying that we watch these movies now with a whole different purpose, a whole different intent, right?
Yep.
I'm now at this point wondering, and I'm not saying this was on purpose, but I'm now wondering, was them leaving this? So was it on purpose that they did Daniel, then they did Miyagi for the second movie, then the third movie we'll talk about? Did they purposely do that, knowing at some point they were going to have a series come out?
I don't think so.
I don't think so at all.
I don't think so.
It was a happy coincidence. It worked out perfect that you were able to see somewhat of Miyagi's story. You're able to see like Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for the third one. Because I'm gonna let everybody know this now. I know I've been pro Miyagi, pro Daniel. I really like the bad boy aspect of the third one. I really liked it. Now I'll tell you why. Because sometimes I feel like you need to be a dog, you need to be a bad boy, and I feel like they got the right actor for it. I think they just really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, that's going to be a good movie to review next week. We're going to review The Karate Kid Part 3. You guys got any closing remarks for this episode?
Make sure if you are listening to this, make sure you watch the post show because it's gonna be a good one.
Oh, I'm interested. I'm interested. I don't even know what you're talking about. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, Joe, you got anything?
I'm good, man. Let's go.
All right, cool. All right, don't forget to check out all of our partners on the Martial Arts Center Network. Make sure that you guys go back and listen to CTE, which, I don't understand why they haven't changed the name of that show to TLC yet. I really don't understand why it's not the TLC experience. I really don't know. But listen to CTE. Make sure you listen to Inside Scoop. You guys feel me, don't you? Don't you? Y'all feel me? You got to.
Don't go chasing waterfalls, boys. Don't go chasing
Hey, do what you got to do.
All right. Make sure you guys check us out. Next week, we review The Karate Kid Part 3. Director, play my music.
Disaster must come. At best, only postponed. Shaolin Kung Fu, to survive, must now be taught to more young men.